increase athletic fees.
No, I'm just saying, as far as that first page.
Yeah.
708,
Yeah.
about 459,000, about 58,000.
Okay. So, next step.
Next one?
35, no, sorry. 35,000 for the school, we're gonna keep that?
Defer.
Yep.
What?
Defer to the school committee if they want it back.
Yeah, no.
You don't want it back? You do want it back?
Unfortunately, we don't have,
Yes.
we hadn't considered that. We didn't think we'd be at this kind of point. We don't have a position as a school committee.
So,
All right, we'll leave it on. Reduce vocational school assessment, that's okay.
We do that
Septic
anyway.
loan, okay. Additional lottery, okay. Period. All right, so now we get into,
85,000. Right? And then next.
yeah,
The 85 and the 120.
Yeah.
the 85 and the 120.
Right.
What's the 120?
Small cap, school department.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And again, if that gets restored, the 70,000 doesn't come out of free cash.
Yeah.
So basically,
It's another 200.
let's add that up. So we had 458. $458,
663.
85,
662.
Okay, now let's look at it from the point of view of where we're at. What we did was, we'd be reducing the school budget to the tune of, what was the number, Steve? The 75, right? We'd be reducing the school budget by 375. The school request for an override, because we've funded that already. And then we're adding 663. So the 800 is more like $1.1 million override. That's what we're talking
That's a
about.
little more. You still have 495,000 school requests and 120,000 of fringe benefits on, benefits on most people.
Yeah.
Plus the 600 and some that you have, so you
Yeah.
get them over $1 million too.
It's in that range. Well, we have to get an accurate accounting of that. So what we would be doing as a result of what appears to be the position of the board is to restore the specific things that we've gone under in an override budget, reduce the school override request by the amount that we've funded it in the standard budget, and request support for everybody for the override.
It's approximately $750,000. And then plus priority 2 and 1.
So it'd be
2
about
and
a
3.
50, it'd be about a 50-50 override. Half of the override would be the school, half the override would be the town.
Rest shifted more the other way.
Yeah? Shift them maybe a little more.
Close.
Is to give it $500,000 on schools, and then you've got approximately $750,000 on the rest.
Where'd you get the 750?
I've got the 458. The 458. I've got the
85
85.
and 120.
120.
And I got 663 when I added that up.
Plus,
That's right.
plus the other 85, plus the other 83 here. The other 83 in other cuts. Recreation, treasurers, and DPW.
All right.
83. So I guess it's 746.
But Greg will come up with the numbers.
Yeah, right.
The record.
No, but I wanted to get, I think people needed to understand the ballpark numbers.
So you're about $1 million.
Say that again.
It'll be close to $1 million.
$1,200,000 plus the benefits. And plus the other 20. Yeah, million,
Close to-
a little over $1,300,000. $1,325,000.
So basically, the school budget, 300.
No, it's $375,000. goes to priority.
No, we took, yeah, right. 375 of the school budget gets funded for,
Above the status quo.
above the status quo.
It brings them to priority one.
I mean, this is Wednesday night, Bob, so for next week's transcript, you'll have a more accurate number.
Yeah, you actually could have stayed home today.
Right.
At the rate you're going, this may not be in next week.
Greg, you need some help here now with respect to what do you need from us from formal votes?
There are motions in your packet
Yeah.
that cover everything that you voted this evening. Your votes this evening are sufficient for us to translate those into
Okay.
legislation.
Thank
All
goodness.
Right.
And therefore, within a day or two, and certainly before our Monday meeting, you'll have a complete tally,
Let us
and
know what we did.
we'll know what the override questions will be. Right. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss?
I believe Warren is here, or is he?
Yes, Warren, right. We have, okay, folks, first of all, I would like, on behalf of the board, to thank all of you for attending. This is the best turnout, obviously, we're unprepared for it, that we've had, that I can remember. In fact, this is, if we ratio this to a town meeting, right, we're going to have an overflow attendance at town meeting. This is great. And certainly, the input and the thoughts that you've had and the support that I think I'm hearing from all of you associated with dealing with this problem, which is not an easy problem. Obviously, you can take that away listening to the issues and the decisions that we have to make, and many of them probably didn't satisfy you, but at least we've had a clear opportunity to debate them, and I thank you all for attending. You're certainly welcome to stay, but the last piece of our meeting tonight is a public hearing on from the CPC on an article that they're proposing to put in the coming warrant. We're gonna take a 5-minute break before we do that. Thank you, Warren.
This is affordable housing overlay district. Now, I think we talked about it before a little bit, but originally it had quite a large number of parcels, and the way this was originally put together was put together by looking at all of the town-owned land and basically accumulating a list of parcels that could potentially qualify to be built on. And the parcels were then broken down initially into one-third areas where the cost of these parcels, or the value of these parcels, were such that an affordable property could be built and sold at an affordable price. We then had a public hearing on it, where we had rather large turnout. And there was some objection to the fact that it appeared that a lot of the parcels were in the over by Market Pond. And I don't know if they thought that was intentional or not, but it's a matter of fact that that's the way it came out. Because the value of the parcels over there were broken up before 1925 in many cases, but a lot of it was done in 1925. And those parcels were broken up into small pieces because they were camps. So the value of those parcels is small, is low. And the net result is they make them a prime candidate for an affordable property, for an affordable housing situation. after that meeting, we went out and went through that list and culled it down again by actually visiting every single one of the properties and actually cut the list down by about 2/3. Currently, there are 23 parcels that are actually located at 11 sites. And the reason that there are 11 sites is some of these parcels requires the combining of a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them in some cases, to create a lot large enough to actually put an affordable property on. The reason that we began this and we looked at this is that we're aware that even though the Berry Center right now takes care of our 40B requirements or our affordable income requirements at this time, when the census is redone in 2010, we know that because of the building that's done since the last census that we're going to come up short again. And this is an attempt by the planning board to have a plan in place ahead of time to find some pieces of property where if a 40B came knocking on our door after that census, we actually have a plan in place that relates to our master plan that says these are the areas that we have chosen for you to build in. And if they don't necessarily like those areas and they go back to Mass Housing Court, it's likely that they say, no, they planned ahead, they filed a master plan, they planned ahead, these are the areas in that plan, if you don't want to build it, go to another town. So it gives us a level of protection, a level of control over how some of this is done, which is a little better than just letting it randomly come about again the way it started a while ago. It doesn't mean that, that after 2010 that anybody will ever come back here again, you know, or try to build in these areas. But at some point it may happen. We don't have that much land left for development, so we're not going to accumulate, I don't think, too many more houses in the next 10 years or so. However, we do need to have something in our property to show that if somebody does come looking, that we've prepared for it, that we're ahead of the curve. So again, there are 23 parcels that we've identified on 11 sites, and the general areas they are located in is there's some in the close to the town center, some near Main Street, some in Martin's Pond. The number of Martin's Pond has been reduced dramatically as a result of looking the roller. And also, I spoke to the town administrator about it for a couple of minutes at one point, and he did point out that in the process of doing the wastewater plan, we need to make sure we hold on to a couple of parcels over there for lift stations. And that was a very good point, and I brought that back to the planning board, and we did look at some of those parcels, and we determined that we have a couple of locations that are no longer on the list that would be sufficient for that. So we do thank you for that input. That was something that hadn't been thought of and went right into the plan. The map locations, these areas are identified on the master and as housing target areas in the town's master plan. The map locations there's 3 of them, the Hoffman Park Street near West Village Drive subdivision. There's 1 large site on Havel Street, 3 sites in Martin's Pond area, 2 sites off of Main Street, and 2 sites north of the town center. And I have those actual addresses here. We went through them all before. I can read them all off if you want me to go to do that. The abutters were notified by mail, even though it's not required. We did do that prior to our public hearing at the planning board in order to make sure that they knew this was going on, to make sure they had an opportunity to comment on it. And they did, again. It did. Pardon?
It worked.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we want to do. You know, that was the intention. The intention was is to get as much input from these people as we could, because besides saving us some legwork and checking some of this, we glean a lot of information on the planning board from our public hearings. They're really important to us, and they really help us make good decisions. So the fact that it's well intended is just to the positive as far as we're concerned. So we did notify all those people. They came and we culled the list down. So as I said, down to the 23 parcels. Just so you get an idea what that means, the number of potential units, the absolute maximum potential for these areas is about 118 units. But it's far likely to be less, because it's likely to be much less dense development as it goes on. And of course, each one of these sites, if they were to be built on, would have to go through the town meeting process. Each lot or each location would have to be released through the town meeting process. So there's a second look at every single one of these prior to them being released for this for affordable housing to be built on.
So if I can just stop you. So